All right. We are live on the YouTube. Doing pretty good here. Got some rest, played some games with a kid. We ended up playing a little bit of Portal 2, which is a little bit of a struggle for him because it does require some thinking through the problem. So I tried to help him work on his problem solving skills. And then what else we play? Um It's not Human Fall Flat, but it's like the same type of characters. Gang Beasts, I think, something like that. And we just beat each other up and it was hilarious. How's it going, Logan? But yeah, got some rest. But yeah, I so this evening, you know, I'm still like back and forth on the fence on whether I want to or how much self-hosting I want to do. But man, with the issues that GitHub just recently went through, and there's also something going on with a PBS 9 company where all of their data that was serviced by a cloud vendor, that cloud vendor, I guess, went under, or like we're not able to pay their own bills or something like that. And so now this PBS company has no access to any of their data, and there's like nothing that could be done right now. I haven't kept up with the news, so I'm assuming they've resolved the issue at some point. Um but it's like, oh man, it's kind of scary, like having all of your data hosted, and then on top of all of this, I'll see if I can show you guys without leaking any personal information here. uh this should be fine. Yeah. But basically, my Gmail is out of storage, and as of September 17, 2026, a month from now, I am no longer going to receive email. And I'm not using a lot of data. It's like 15 gigabytes of data. So it's like, what the hell? I I need I need to figure something out. And if I'm going to put time and effort into like setting up a network attached storage, or like setting up my own cloud server, if you will, uh, then I kind of want to do it right. And I still have this computer here. Let me turn the camera on. Do I have it on? This Here we go. Right. So I've got my server here. Let me show my vertical peeps. Maybe not showing. There it is. So I got this server. Let me shrink it. By paying vertical for my doom scrollers. Don't mind all the cables. But I've got this server, also known as a desktop PC. Tuck it right. Oh, I'm getting to that, Logan, as well. But yeah, so I have this computer right here. This computer is 1 terabyte NVMe for the operating system, and then 4 terabytes for storage. 64 gigs of RAM, a Ryzen 5950X, and a GTX 3090 Ti. I'm pretty sure it's a for the win card. and I looked it up. It's 24 gigs of video RAM, which I think is enough to do a small LLM. So I want to do stuff with this. I don't want it to just sit here and rot. So I definitely want to get that up and running. For tonight, because I kind of got a late start, and I do want to continue making progress with my GitLab setup. I want to get a GitLab runner going that supports Clang and GCC, and maybe test out some small C++ code, the string code that I had been starting to write on stream. So I'm gonna try that. So after this, I think then yeah, I want to look at what it takes to host a local LLM. It's not something I've ever done or know how to do. I am assuming it's just a matter of installing and wiring up some like API endpoints, maybe. But yeah, I want to look into that. And then I also want to look into figuring out how to host my photos, videos, and getting off of Google to stop consuming all of my storage, all 15 gigs of it, which really isn't that much. I actually have like 3 12 terabyte spin disk drives, but at this point, they're like, they might be close to 10 years old. I haven't used them that much, but they're old. So I don't know. So yeah. So I want to look into that. And if I'm doing all of this, then the question becomes, well, what's the best way to set up a home lab or cloud server, that I will have access to outside of my house and make it secure, all that fun stuff. I don't know how much of that, at least the research part, I want to do on stream. Uh and I and part of it is fear of like accidentally leaking keys or passwords or things like that. So I'll have to do some research and figure all that out as well. Uh but yeah, I need to do NAS, and like you can see, I've got a lot of room in there for larger drives. So I can just like make this the home server, and then I can buy little they make these little mini forum PCs, which I've used in the past, which is like terabyte of storage, 8 cores, 16 threads, 32 gigs of RAM, and just get like little mini PCs for software runners, and then just kind of get a whole setup going. So that's kind of my thought process right now. Open source private cloud platforms, that would be interesting. Yeah, like if they make it easy where I just like, I don't know, I run a flavor of Linux that's reconfigured for cloud services, then yeah, let's do it. Uh but I got to dig into that. I haven't had enough time this week in the evenings to kind of really dig in, so I'm not sure yet. But in the meantime, tonight, while I'm on here, I do want to try and continue the GitLab service, get a GitLab runner up and running. I'll just keep it local for now. I thought about hooking it up to Cloudflare, which I still plan to do, at least via the Cloudflare tunnel, but I got a little scared of all of the like settings and menus I have to go into, and I don't know if I want to show that on stream. Seems risky. So I'll probably eventually expose this to the world. But if I'm going to go this route, if I'm going to go the cloud route, then I think I would want a more general solution for everything that I can wire all this stuff up. Because I still plan on doing like development via VS Code. I want to be able to like hook an LLM into VS Code if it's not going to be Claude. I still want to be able to be productive. I think my understanding is, though, like using your own personal machine, the models are good, but they are slow. That's my current understanding. But that I think that'll be fun to explore on stream as well. So, in the meantime, let's look at continuing the GitLab runner and maybe get Clang GCC compiling some C++ and maybe some static analysis. We'll see how much time all this takes. If you are new to this stream, just so you guys are aware, I am on a Windows desktop and I am accessing my essentially my Linux server, my PC here that I'm showing on stream. Let me bigger. Stand by. Somehow showing it vertically. I don't know how. Oh, I did it like this. Okay, perfect. No, we'll leave it there. But anyway, I'm on Windows. I have a desktop PC here. Ryzen 5950X, 64 gigs of RAM, terabyte NVMe, 3090 Ti. Just kind of repurposing an old desktop tower of mine that I have. And I'm using a wireless KVM. That's this thing right here. Using a wireless KVM so that I can access the system through a browser. Then I'm in Linux. Now it looks like I'm in Linux. So, GitLab. I have GitLab running as a Docker service, Docker container. So that's what we're seeing here, and then I should be able to log into it. Ooh, uh-oh. Did I screw this up? Oh, I think I remember. Yeah. All right. So I have logged in, and I have, the Fun and Software group and a little bit of code, or I started a project, but I need to push some code up to it. Trill is currently out in the garage. I did leave the garage door cracked open a little because it's slightly cooler out today than it's been like all summer, and it's eventually going to storm. So if you see like this side of my face get darker, that's because the window next to me has gotten darker and it's storming. But I'm hoping he will come pay us a visit, grace us with his presence if he hears me talking and chatting with you guys. All right, so I need to get some code pushed up here. And I just realized my VS Code isn't set up with all the goodies that I've done for streaming. So I guess this is an opportunity to give you guys kind of a rundown of how I set this up. Obviously, you're aware of the Cappuccino Mocha themes, so let's grab that. The right one though. Might be spelling it wrong. Spelling it wrong. 2P. There we go. Mocha. And then in order for all of this to fit vertically on stream, I have to drag this over. There we go. And then I need to move everything to the right. Move primary sidebar right. Then I need to move the activity bar to the... There we go. And then I just drag these over. I think that's about all I do. All I can remember. So now I can go back to streaming vertically. It's somewhat misaligned. There we go. Something like that. Oh yeah, the pets. You're right. You're right. Extension. And I thought there was something else I got. I got icons. Capuchin icons. We gotta have the icons. Also mocha. And there's also, what is this? Capuchin perfect icons? Yeah. VS Code pets. Is that what I get? I think that's what I. Then I modify the setting. Forest. That's too dark. Dark. Like autumn. Autumn brings good feelings to me. I don't know if that's my favorite season, but I definitely think it's my favorite aesthetic. Then we can add additional pets, like a cat. And I think there's a way to make them bigger too. Throw a ball. I can throw a ball. Definitely a way to make them big. Position, pet type, pet size, do medium. See what that does. There we go. Now you can see some pets in the bottom. Real Visual Studio changed the syntax color. Oh man. I'll be honest, this is the most I have ever messed with like theming or style of an editor, and it's mostly to make it look somewhat nice while streaming. If I'm just like trying to get work done, I just dark mode whatever the default is, call it done. It's just not something I think about. Okay. I want to get my code pushed into my personal GitLab repo, and I'm trying to think what the best way to do that is. I think I can get it from GitHub. I don't remember if I've signed in or not. I'm sure everyone has a different way of doing this. For me personally, when I'm like on Linux and I'm doing a dev folder, I just do it in my home folder and I just make a dev, and then all my work is in a dev folder. Um, I mean, hell, I do that on Windows as well. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's always been a dev folder followed by all the work I do. Let's try and clone it. It is public. github.com/funin software/fire. Workspace. I haven't gotten used to the workspace what do you call that? Naming convention, I guess, until I've started seeing VS Code and the LLMs also calling them workspaces, and it's like, oh, okay. Dev containers. I think dev containers is kind of my introduction into calling something a workspace. Um. Okay. It has been cloned. So then I want to pop over to GitLab here, and I might just move this off to the side. If you're on if you're watching vertically on YouTube, you're SOL. You can turn your phone sideways and hopefully it'll let you see horizontal. And I think here I just do the whole rename the origin, right? HTTPS. Push an existing folder. So I'll navigate to dev. That's right. I zoom in a little as well. Git remote rename origin to old origin. Git remote add origin HTTPS. Nope, HTTP. I don't have a domain name for this yet, so it's 192.56. And git push -u origin all. Moment of truth. Ooh, we need a username. Funin dev. Oh, we need a password. Crap. Press enter to confirm. I don't think it. I think you can use a password. Access token. Password authentication. Personal access token. Let's just do a legacy. Give me an API. When should this expire? August of next year. Funin 5950X. It's a good name for this. Something like that. Generate token, copy it, paste it, enter. There we go. All right. I have code pushed to my self-hosted GitLab instance. So now I need to start looking at getting my dev container up and running to build the code so that I can also use it in a GitLab runner to build the code. Restricted mode is intended for safe code browsing. Trust this folder to enable all features. Want to install the recommended dev container? Yes. I also want to trust Russ. Okay. All right. So now I'm on Linux, and I'm pretty sure, unless Ubuntu comes with some like default compilers, I don't have any C++ tool chains installed. So I can do a quick check, like GCC version not found. So we do not have GCC running on this computer. Clang version not found. CMake version not found. Perfect. So we don't have any of these tools running on this computer. And ideally, I won't, because this is going to be doing its own thing. I'm not really making this my day-to-day dev machine. It's more going to be the server. So I have dev containers to take care of that for me. So the Docker file here does have all the tools I need. Do you want to install the recommended container tools extension? Sure. I think this gives me syntax highlighting for Dockerfile. Use my container runtime. Docker. The container runtime has been changed to Docker. A reload is required. Sure. Add Docker files to workspace. Already have that. Reopen in a container. Sure. Current user does not have permission. Yes. I don't remember how to do this off the top of my head, so I will probably check the Googles. By default, you need sudo permissions, super user permissions to run any of the Docker commands when you install Docker, unless you set up the user as part of like a Docker group to run it. Now, do I remember how to do that? No, but I remember that I need to do that. So let me configure user for Docker group Ubuntu. Oh, cool. Straight from Docker's website. Never use a Docker file? You know, that's fine. If you're just doing a personal project and you're developing on a single system, perfectly fine. The benefits of Docker or containerization when it comes to software development and developing on a project is more about supporting multiple developers at the same time. The idea is if every developer has the exact same environment they are working out of, then it becomes a lot easier to reproduce any errors that occur during development. There's a lot of cases, especially if you've ever worked on a medium, even a small team, honestly, any size team at any size company. If leadership isn't enforcing structured software development, then everyone has their own way to do things, right? Everyone has their own IDE. Everyone has their own text editors, their own way of writing scripts. So you might have one developer who is a bash or shell expert who writes all kinds of scripts to make his life easy for him on his computer. You might have someone else who is more specialized on Windows systems who can write PowerShell or batch files to do his scripting. Or you have someone over here who's like, dude, why are you guys writing scripts for operating specific things when you could just use Python and have cross-platform compatibility? So now you have all kinds of developers with all kinds of ways of doing things, and inevitably you end up in a situation where something breaks and someone goes, well, it works on my machine. Why didn't you follow the 30-page documentation I wrote to get it set up for your machine? So dev containers and Docker files, they are configured so that everyone is working out of the exact same environment with the exact same environment variables, the exact same compilers. You don't have to worry about someone using like GCC 12 versus GCC 13 because everyone's using the exact same thing. And then an added benefit is CI/CD. When you are on a team and you have automated software builds and automated testing, you again run into the situation of, well, it works on my machine. Why isn't it working in the pipeline? Or vice versa. It's passing in the pipeline. Why is it failing on my machine? As a business and as someone like myself who gets very frustrated when things aren't working, you end up spending a lot of time, a lot of developer time tracking these issues down. So with dev containers Docker files, because everything's the exact same, if an issue occurs, any one of you can go in and fix it because it will be the exact same no matter which machine you're on. That's, at least from my perspective, the big benefit. And then on top of all of this, Windows subsystem for Linux also is able to run Docker. So you now get the exact same Linux development environment on another system. You can also run it on Windows without needing to swap over to Linux or anything like that. So all kinds of benefits. And that's on top of the general benefits of containerization anyway. So for my project here, I have a Docker file. It sets up some standard tools that you're just going to need for any environment, such as Git, Make, CMake. I use Ninja Build for cross-platform development, Python 3 scripting, because just about any Linux tool uses Python, it seems. All your archive files to unzip and zip, or compress and decompress. And then GCC 15, which honestly, we could probably swap to 16 at this point, especially when I want to start digging into C++ 26. And then Clang 23, and then setting up all of the Clang tools to be accessed on your command line without having to like specify the full path or version. That's where I'm at. So for a solo developer with a single environment, not a big deal. I'm used to this. So this is what, like, someone else might be used to just doing their own shell scripts, which is perfectly fine. I am not used to doing it that way. So this is what I am comfortable with. And so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so this Docker file is used to build a static image of all of this essentially pre-compiled, and then that static image gets stored in a repo. So then, as long as you have Docker on any flavor of Linux, you just pull this pre-built static image into your environment and you can run it. You're not really going to see that here because I'm also using Ubuntu as my operating system. But anyway, before I can get any of this to work, though, I do need... Am I crazy? Where's my... Oh, it's over here. I do need the terminal. I feel like I had this moved over as well. How did I do that? Integrated... Am I crazy? Hang on, I'm gonna hop over to Windows real quick. Yeah, had it like, it's right here. How do I do that? Seriously, the heck? Navigation controls? Just drag. Activity. Hide primary sidebar. Ooh, whoops. Not what I want. Oh no, come back. Come back. I actually don't know how I did that. There's probably a setting somewhere. Oh, we're getting there. So I do have some CPP modules right here. I was thinking this has probably been done to death. So this might be a couple hour session where I try it out and be done with it. But something I've never explored is voxels with Minecraft. And I think it would be interesting using modern C++ modules, all that fun stuff, to just explore rendering some cubes and seeing if I can set it up to like walk around in the world. But I want to get my infrastructure set up before I dig into that. All right. Keep getting distracted. User. I need to do this. Oh, wait. Trill, are you here? Hearing things. Trill's not here. You guys know how you get the ghost vibrations on your lap from back when you would have your phone in your pocket and it would vibrate? Everyone's old enough that that's a thing. Remember that? I feel like that's what's happening to me with Trill. All right, so we're going to create a Docker group. Already exists. Good. Then we are going to add myself as a user to that group. Log out and log back in so that your group membership is reevaluated. You can also run the following command to activate the changes to the groups. If you're running Linux in a virtual machine, it may be necessary to restart the machine for changes to take effect. I am not running in a virtual machine, so I think I will just log out and log back in. Log out. I think it would be cool to do the voxel engine thing, but like do the naive thing first and then explore improving performance. Like, hey, I'm going to render 1,000,000 cubes literally, and we'll see like it run at 1 hertz. And then it's going to be like, hey, what can we do to improve it? How in the hell does Minecraft render like 1,000,000,000 cubes like it's nothing? Because it's like I've always been aware of the solutions to the problem, but I've never really explored it myself. And I figured that'd be kind of fun. And I could talk a little bit of C++ while I do it. Yeah. I that was the version of Minecraft I played, was when it first came out in Java. I never really I was already out of high school, I think, or maybe I was in high school when it came out. I don't remember. I feel like I remember playing it at the library, so maybe it was before I was done with high school. Does anyone know when Minecraft originally came out? All right, let's see if I can run Docker now. Docker run hello world. Looks like I can. Perfect. All right, so now I should be able to do dev containers. Two 2009. Okay, then it was right after high school for me. All right, reopening in a container. So now, because I'm using this dev container, imagine you are a new developer. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to start at not a new company, but like start a new job at a company that has a well-established code base with tens, if not hundreds of developers working on it. It is a nightmare. You have to like go to and this is assuming the company somewhat knows what they're doing, and it's still a pain because you have to like you have to make sure you install all these different tools to your system. You have to make sure you gather all these scripts, get all these passwords, get connected to any SaaS, software services that they depend on. And then only when you have all the pieces do you like configure, build, and hope everything works. Well, I'm on a new system. I verified I do not have any compilers installed, but I have dev containers. So I should be able to just run this dev container and I'm done. I have everything I need. I would hope, if not expect, any companies like moving forward who understands how to manage and maintain software projects to do something like this. I can guarantee you it's what we are going to do at my company because I'm in charge. Computers are so fast now that like I at least for me, I don't stress too much about garbage collection anymore. I would say only if like even embedded systems. I have I need to come up with something to do with this. But I have uh 4 Raspberry Pis. I think they are version I don't know what version they're on right now. Does it say? Can't see. 2018. I have 4 Raspberry Pi 4s Model B from 2018. Like even these Raspberry Pis, garbage collection won't be an issue. It just obviously it depends on what you're building and like if latency matters. Ooh, I do want to do the pie hole thingy. Really do. You're not wrong. C++ is a pain, and it is a you're kind of being thrown into the fire pan if you are tasked with learning C++ first, which is kind of what happened to me. But I think I had the benefit of an internship that was also C++, having taken some C++ classes. And so between that and having essentially a mentor walking me through and doing code reviews for all of my terrible code I wrote, gave me like an appreciation and an idea of how to do C++ better. But even even with all of my knowledge and experience with C++, I still don't know everything. I'm still learning. And yeah, it's still a pain. There are things you can do that make life easier, but there are other languages out there that are just easier out of the box. It's easier to just get up and running. Like you install one thing and you can do everything you need. C++, you got to install the build tools. You got to install um your compilers, uh anything that's going to manage your configuration, and then you're gonna have to decide on how you're gonna handle packages. Like I get it. I totally get it. But there is a reason it exists, and there's a reason it still continues to be one of the more popular languages. Like it legit solves problems. It creates problems, but it solves problems. Oh, I don't have my dev container set up to automatically install my. Or no, I do. It's right here. Why did it not? Oh, it's right here. All right, let's see if my strings library will configure for GCC. Ooh, that's not a good sign. Oh, um, I didn't initialize VCPack. I think it's the git submodule what is it? Git submodule update in it? I think I got it in one. Yeah, I kind of grew up in the dark, right? I was you merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it, raised in it. And I like I totally get it. The struggles, at least for me, that you're gonna find and you need to understand is when it comes to like cross-platform development, because not only do you have, you know, third-party libraries, but you're gonna have access to operating system header files, and now you have to stress about whether you want to manage all of that or maintain all of that, or if you can find a third-party library that does it. You got to make sure you get your compiler flags correct so that when you go to link your libraries, they all play nice with each other. You got to worry about statically allocated memory, global memory in your translation units and how they behave when you link. There's like a lot of esoteric edge cases you got to stress about. And some of this is just the nature of systems programming. It's not, I wouldn't say it's really C++ specific, but I think the big thing with C++ is the fact that it doesn't come bundled together. There is the C++ committee that dictates the language standard, and then it's on someone else to implement and adhere to that language standard. And when you have different groups of people adhering to these standards differently, you start to have problems. Now you have GCC, Clang, MSVC on Windows, MinGW, and a bunch of other compilers that are all not 100% conformant to any one like language standard for C++. And not only that, you have the history of it because everything is backwards compatible, or at least ABI compatible, to the point that newer compilers can still compile older code, hopefully, or at least yell at you that, like, hey, this is now an error that needs to be fixed. That takes a lot, and it takes a lot of know-how. There we go. And so from the perspective of just building desktop applications, mobile phone applications, that's why you'll probably hear me every once in a while talk about Dart and Flutter. For the most part, it all comes out of the box with one executable and an extension via VS Code, and then it like handles everything for you on any platform. And that's just so nice. The amount of time and effort it takes to stand all this up yourself manually for C++. Whew. All right, this is promising. We are compiling C++ 23 with modules. That's good. And that's proof this does work on Linux, which, I mean, we kind of knew anyway, because let's be honest, it's me, and I know what I'm doing. Sometimes. Wow. Um, I kind of grew up on, well, in school it was Linux and Makefiles, a little bit of Visual Studio, and then professionally it was mostly Visual Studio, starting with 2000. I think I used 2008 in school, and then professionally, I kind of started on 2012. And then on Linux, it was still basically Makefiles and like Notepad plus plus early on, and then eventually a text editor came out called Sublime Text, and this thing was fantastic. I assume it still is fantastic. But man, it was great. And all the multi-line editing, like I got really familiar with the keybinds and everything, and I was able to just do all kinds of stuff. So like you look at those who are NeoVim or Vim or Emacs Voodoo Magic users who just go like keyboard go burr. I was like that, but with Sublime Text. And I still had to use Visual Studio. And I still do today. But eventually it got to a point where unfortunately Sublime Text was licensed software. You technically needed a purchase a license to use it. And at my work, they wouldn't approve the purchase of the license. But VS Code was free. And VS Code was okay. So I bit my tongue and just put up with it. It's like, hey, as long as I have something. And at least with VS Code, I get the same editor experience between Windows and Linux. So I just put up with it. And then I discovered these dev containers, and that's with VS Code and its extensions. And that's kind of why I stick to it. I stick to VS Code and the dev containers because it gives me the exact same dev environment no matter what operating system I'm on. I have a MacBook that I use like at night when I'm laying in bed, and I get the same development environment, and it's great. And so I don't have to like relearn an editor for every platform. Now there's new editors coming out. I'm aware of Zed, for instance, and I am looking forward to improvements with it. It's not quite there for everything I need, but I hope it gets there because it seems pretty cool. I gave NeoVim 30 minutes of my time, and I couldn't do it. I just can't. I'm kind of stuck in my ways at this point to using a mouse with my editor. Maybe someday if I got like, if someone like paid me to have to learn it, then sure, I would put in the time, but just to learn it for the sake of learning it, it's kind of like drinking beer to me. I'm not a huge beer drinker, but if you drink enough beer, you'll eventually find one that you enjoy. Oh, Tree Sitter. That's funny. When I was learning NeoVim, the day I learned about it, I knew Tree Sitter was an extension or a plugin you could install, and I went to install it, and it turned out that was the day the maintainer was like, "That's it, I'm out." I thought that was crazy. That was my luck. Nah, if you can get into NeoVim early in your career and start getting used to the macros and everything, you're gonna be a typing genius. I just, at least for me, the speed of typing and navigating code has never really been the bottleneck when it comes to development. It's been more the design, the testing, the debugging, like all the stuff that goes into deciding what to write has usually been the bottleneck for me. Okay, code compiles. I wanted to make sure it also installs. And then if that's good, we're gonna create a runner. Oh, I don't have an installed target. Never mind. Let's run the tests. Tests pass. All right, we are looking good. Not that there's a lot of code here. Tests are passing. That's good. Okay. So, oh man, GitLab runner, which this computer is pretty mighty and powerful. So it should be easy enough to set up a runner. Oh, they changed how the resources look in Ubuntu. Holy shit. Show usages of logical CPUs. Yeah, okay, so there you go. So I have like 32. I have 64 gigs of RAM. Does it show my GPU? Doesn't show my GPU, but it might be because I don't have it like drivers installed for it. I don't know. That should be more than plenty to do a runner. So I need to hop into GitLab here. Except that's not the website. And I gotta remember how to do this. You know what's funny is because computers and memory is getting so much more expensive because of the AI data centers, makes me wonder if we're ever going to have to go back to like stressing about every bit of memory we can save. I have to assume not, but it does make me wonder. Way to add runners, but it might require admin. I'm not seeing it here. Maybe I have to do it on a per project level. Runners. Here we go. Create project runner. Okay, so I like to tag my runners. So runner tags are good for like filtering. And so I like to tag my runners with like the user it's coming from, the system it's on, Linux, and then whether it's like Docker or a shell runner to let you know it's a containerized runner. Then we will create maximum job timeout. Maximum job timeout for runners 30 minutes. I think I'll leave that default. Server not found. Oh no. Oh, it's because I set my runner up to be gitlab.funandsoftware.com. Crap. Crap. You want to talk about a bad laptop? Hey, Jan, when I first started my career, I had I think it was a second gen Core i5, which might have been 2 cores, 2 threads, or 4 cores, something like that, and 4 gigs of RAM laptop. And it would take like 2.5 hours to compile the company's C++ project. So basically, anytime I needed to make a change to like a header file, I would have to wait like another 30 minutes for the compile to pass and for me to run the application to make sure it works. But as like an intern who really didn't know what they were doing, the company really did not want me messing with header files if I could avoid it. And so like the code base had the pimple idiom and everything. But there's been more than once where I got chewed out for like adding code to a header file and then wasting time because as an intern I was only working like maybe 12 hours a week. So if I'm working 12 hours a week and every change I make takes 30 minutes to go through, like that means I get maybe 24 changes total per week. And my boss was not happy anytime I had to recompile the code base. I'll just say that. So I learned to like really make sure code was written the way I needed it to be written in multiple places at once in between compilations. And also learned to just hide the fact that I was recompiling. Okay, so I need to fix this. I think maybe I can restart the server with a different host. So I have Docker GitLab CE latest. So I need to refine the run. Control R GitLab. Oh, how do you? Is there a way to cycle the Control R history commands? Control R. Here it is. Okay. So I need to rerun this command, but not use gitlab.fundandsoftware.com. So I need to kill the current. Actually, don't know if I remember how to kill a Docker stop container. Just like stop. Docker stop. Docker container stop. Alias Docker stop. And then pass in the Docker stop. All right. Let's verify. Make sure GitLab is down. Is down. So I need to rerun this command. Try to specify my address, host name. See what happens. 6850 dot. Error response conflict. The container name slash GitLab is already in use by container. You have to remove or rename the container. Oh, Docker container ls. Assume that's not necessarily true because I'm also using a container for my code here. Yeah, that's not the one I want to remove. Docker container ls -a. Here we go. I need to remove this one. Docker rm, maybe. Did something. All right, it's not there. Try this again. All right, I think we're back. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. Come on. Come back to me. I mean, you might not be wrong there, Jan. All this tinkering, eventually I will get to a point where I might get fed up with all of the IT work I'm having to do, for sure. Because sometimes I just like my stuff to work. But legitimately, I do need a solution to this. my email is out of storage because I've used 15 gigs on like photo of my friends, photos, videos, etc. So I need something. I don't know what that something is. I just lost. Uh-oh. Come back. Did this go to sleep or did it crash? Hmm. Come by. Oh, it restarted. Uh-oh. Why did it restart? All right. I am going to try and run an ad now. I'm going to go use the bathroom. Check on Trill. I'm just looking at Twitch to see if I can figure this out. Oh, all right, I'm gonna run an ad now. Hopefully that will make it so it doesn't run an ad later, and I'm gonna go use the bathroom. So I will be back. Thank you, guys. All right. Ad over. Wait for me. Okay, cool. Trill is in the building. I repeat, Trill is in the building. All right, so why did my computer restart? Did it crash? That would be a problem. See. Oh, wait, it's working. Okay. Ouch. Hey, what are you doing? You want to say hi? Huh? Hi? Attack. Huh? Say hi. Trill is in the building. Loud. What are you doing, buddy? Huh? Lay it down. Okay, let's get this back up. The pigeon has returned. Oh no, did restarting the GitLab instance delete the user? Oh man. Let's try, what is it? Root. Oh no. Why is none of this working, guys? Uh-oh. Let me think. Let me think. Why? Oh, why? What command did I run? Hmm. Is my data folder not mounted? Failed to mount data. Wrong file system. Ooh, is that the issue? Ooh, my data can't be mounted. Wrong file system type, bad option, bad super block on NVMe1, missing code page or helper program, other error. See, this is what a regular user can't deal with on Linux. This is insane. I have a data drive. I should be able to open it, and I can't. And it was working. It was working up until like right now. What are you doing, dude? You have food. You have food, you have water. All right, I apologize. My cat will not leave me alone. Hang on. Give me like 5 seconds. Cat had food, but he needed me to walk him to the bowl. All right. hey, you do you, you know? This is just something like my mom couldn't deal with or wouldn't want to deal with. I I don't want to deal with it. I just want it to work. I mean, I took a risk. I know the file system is NTFS, so, but I don't think I had any data on it that I needed to keep necessarily. So I guess I could just format it now and call it a day. Yeah, it's NTFS. I would I would lose all of my game saves, but all that's in the cloud anyway. All right, screw it. We'll just delete it all. Gone. Problem solved. It's been revoked. Okay. So that should do it. Now the other question is, does Ubuntu automatically mount it? Say on a restart? Because I know I've ran into issues where the drive isn't like configured to automatically mount. Use user session defaults, mount at system startup. Okay, I think we're good. All right. So the downside to that is I have now lost all users for this GitLab instance, so I will have to kill. So I need to make run media fun and data get still exists. Hmm. All right, still exists. That should be good. Need to kill. Okay, let's try this again. One nine two 168 dots. Hope that actually plays nice. Looks like it took a minute to start up last time. while I wait for that, I did see a new article on standard polymorphic, which was the next thing we were going to look at compared to standard indirect coming in C++ 26. See if this will don't. Buy that one guy. Is it this guy? Yeah, this guy. Sandor Dargo. Sandor Dargo. C++ 26 standard polymorphic. Can I enhance? In the previous article, we looked at standard indirect. C++ 26's answer to the I need a heap allocated member with value semantics problem. Indirect always stores exactly a t, but what if you need to store a circle or a rectangle through a shape base class and copy it without slicing? Ooh. So I don't know how many of you out there pay attention to like C++ practices, like best practices and ways to go about things. Whenever you make a class virtual, make it available for polymorphic uses, if you will, you really, really should disable the ability to copy. So in this shape class down below, if this was code written for a project I was running, I would expect to delete the copy constructor and the copy operator. Maybe even the moves. Maybe even the moves. And the reason for this is slicing. It is too easy to accidentally slice your object. And like a lot of things in C++, that becomes a foot gun. Slicing being that you only copy parts of the object into another one when you probably thought you were going to copy the whole object. So there is practices you can apply to your code to enforce this not happening. And then what you do is after you prevent copying your virtual object, you implement a clone function. So that's, I think, what they're showing down here is cloning. And so that's typically what I would expect to see out of any object that wants to copy but is virtual or inherited. I'm curious to see how polymorphic might solve this. So that let's see, where were we? Base class and copying it without slicing. That's standard polymorphic. The other half of the paper. It owns a heap allocated object whose dynamic type may be T or any type derived from T. Copying performs a type erase deep copy that preserves the dynamic type, no virtual clone needed. That's pretty cool. The clone tax. Okay, here's another issue I have with Linux. And it kills me. It's the little things, right? I am scrolling with my mouse. Look how far and kind of how choppy that scroll is. Why is it so bad to scroll out of the box like that? Mac does not do this. Windows does not do this. Linux does it. And so I'm scrolling and I miss some of the stuff I'm trying to look at. And it's probably some configuration for sure. But why is it not working immediately out of the box? And this is Ubuntu. Ubuntu works everywhere for everything. If there's a Linux distro that I expect to just work, it's Ubuntu. Anyway, small Linux rant. Why clone instead of implementing the copy constructor? Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. You can't implement the copy constructor and the assignment overload safely. That's what's going to introduce slicing. So, how do I do this? I can show you an example. All right, let's see here. Okay, so let's say, make sure you can still hear. You have like class A. And it's going to be made up of member variables. And then you implement class B. You derive from A. Assume public inheritance is good. Actually, let's just make it good. We'll just make them structs. I'm not trying to write perfect code here. Okay, so B derives from A. If I create or instantiate a B object and I want to copy it into an A object. Oh, and the B object has like int x, int y, int z. And then I want to copy B into A. Well, if you define those operator overloads to handle the copy, you're going to end up with unintended consequences. Well, you basically kind of have two paths here. You actually intended this or you didn't. And if you intended this, I would argue to write your code differently so that you can't get the scenario where this is unintended. So when I copy B into A, the content of B fails to copy over. It gets sliced. And only the parts of B that contain A are effectively copied. And you run into this a lot when you're dealing with like references, if you're not paying attention. So maybe you are passing, I don't know. Let's say you have a function that takes reference of A, right? And now you start doing operations on A. But A might have a virtual function. Keep coming up with ideas to talk about here, so running out of room. Virtual foo. And B implements virtual foo. It overrides it, right? So vert foo. So now you're calling a dot foo. And it's a non-const foo, so it modifies underlying state. Is A or is it B? Did you intend it to be A or B? And what are the consequences of running this line of code? Can you guys see that? Might not be able. What's the trick? Base drag. Right. And even if this is working as you intend it, this code is hard to read and it's hard to reason about. So the recommended way to solve all of this is, if your object is intended to be copied, implement the copy via a clone function and disable the default copy operators so that you don't ever end up in these copy slicing situations, right? Because the entire goal is to not accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. That's why you don't want to do it this way. And it seems like the standard polymorphic type might be doing all of this for you now, which is a kind of a win in my book. Where are we? So the clone, see, there's the freaking scroll. So like, you see how this scrolls all nice and smooth? I have to manually drag to do this. Anyway, the clone tax. To have a copyable collection of polymorphic objects, every derived class needs a virtual clone method. Let's see what that looks like. So basically what I was saying, like, if you are going to do polymorphic copying, you need to implement a clone function. And then basically implement it for every type that you derive that you want to support that cloning. Now you want a picture that owns a collection of shapes with value semantics. So you have a picture, collection of shapes, but you want the picture to have value semantics. So copying. Every new shape has to implement clone. Forget it once and you get slicing. And that's the crux of the problem. You forget it once and you get slicing. Not a big deal if you're working a small project or if you're the only one doing development on it. A massive deal if you have a many number of developers working on a large project. This can become a critical problem. And you get slicing. The picture class needs all 5 special member functions written by hand. This is a lot of ceremony for something conceptually simple. I want a copyable collection of polymorphic objects. Dropping the boilerplate with polymorphic. Standard polymorphic eliminates all of that. The shapes don't need clone, picture doesn't need any special member functions, and, perhaps surprisingly, shape doesn't even need a virtual destructor. Ooh. Really? No virtual destructor needed. You know what that means, right? Derive from shape with circle. Create an overridden function. Okay. And then we have a class picture with polymorphic types, which makes this copyable. And now I don't need to handle the fact that I have like a unique collection of pointers. No clone, no rule of 5. Copying a picture copies every shape. A circle is copied as a circle. A rectangle is copied as a rectangle. The type erasure machinery inside polymorphic handles this automatically. The only requirement is that every stored type must be copy constructible. Okay. Insane. I cannot believe how bad scrolling is. It's struggling. No clone. Okay, deep copies. Deep copies just work. So it's showing a picture, adding a circle to it, adding a rectangle to it, copying the picture, adding another circle, and then verifying that A and B are not the same. That's pretty freaking cool. That is actually really cool. With unique pointer, this would require the handwritten copy constructor we saw above. No virtual destructor needed. Notice that shape's destructor is protected and not virtual in the polymorphic version. Because polymorphic uses type erasure for both destruction and copying, it knows the actual dynamic type and can call the right destructor directly. No vtable dispatch needed. This is a genuine safety improvement. You can't accidentally delete a shape's pointer and get undefined behavior because nobody ever holds a raw shape pointer. Wow. Just like indirect, polymorphic propagates const correctly. Accessing through a const polymorphic type yields a const reference. In the picture example, total area is a const method and shape-area correctly resolves to the const overload of area. If shape had a non-const mutating method, calling it through a const picture would be a compile error. The same improvement over unique pointer that we discussed in the previous article. What does the polymorphic not do? Unlike indirect, polymorphic has no comparison operator and no hash support. The reason is straightforward. The dynamic type is erased. There is no way to forward equal or spaceship operator to the actual stored object without requiring virtual comparison methods on the base class, which the committee considered out of scope. There is also no perfect forwarded assignment, again, because the type information is erased at runtime. The valueless state. The indirect polymorphic has no null state. A polymorphic type always owns an object, except after being moved from, where valueless after move returns true. If you need nullable polymorphic indirection, use an optional polymorphic type. Choosing between indirect and polymorphic. Now that we've seen both types, here's a quick summary of when to use which. The pimple idiom, recursive types, and large members, you would want to do a indirect type. And so the large member case is basically you're choosing to basically put 8 bytes on an object versus like megabytes on an object. That way you can like move data around a lot. Need comparison hash on the owned object would be indirect. Open set of derived types, polymorphic collections would be the polymorphic type. Closed set of known types would be a variant. That makes sense. Variants are actually kind of awesome once you get the hang of it. Nullable indirection, use an optional of the types, and then shared ownership is shared pointer. The simplest mental model, indirect, is for when you know the exact type but need it on the heap. Polymorphic is when you don't know the type. Conclusion. Polymorphic eliminates the most tedious pattern in object-oriented C++, writing clone methods and rule of 5 boilerplate just to have a copyable collection of polymorphic objects. The type erasure approach means no virtual destructor, no virtual clone, and no handwritten special member functions. Together with indirect, it completes the value semantic indirection story that has been missing from the standard library since smart pointers were introduced. Okay. Okay. That actually is kind of exciting. I would love to get my hands on these types to implement something. I don't know what I would use it for yet, but that's actually cool. All right, let's see if my GitLab server is up and running yet. Are you kidding me? Oh, wait, do I need to do H? Ah, there we go. Okay. So now I need to do the trick to grab the admin password. Oh. Is this the password? Hmm. C++ 18. Might not be the. How did we do this? I don't remember. Is there a grep? Yeah, there it was. Okay, that's the password. All right, I'm in. Group name, Funin Software. Project name, Aspire. Blank project, continue. Uh, okay, we're back. Let's do this again. God, Linux, just why don't you work? Gonna turn into a Linux hate session here soon. Not careful. Okay. Terminal fire. I'm gonna need a new access token. Critical patch release. Oh, here we go, guys. This is what I was worried about. I am now in charge of making sure I keep my self-hosted Git clients up to date, lest I expose my system to vulnerabilities on the public web. But I'm not on the web right now, so remind me again in 3 days. There's like a full my computer. Maybe that was my issue. Maybe it wasn't Linux. Maybe it was me. Okay. All right. So the code is now in GitLab. Success. Now we can do the runner again. I hope. Runner. Create project runner. I know you guys can't really see. So give it a name, the operating system, and the actual runner type. We're going to make this a Docker runner. I think we'll create it. There we go. Okay. So this runner will be Linux using Docker. Run GitLab runner in a container. What is this? I don't know if I need the GitLab runner itself running in a container. I think that's going to add a little bit of complexity. I think I'm okay if I just run the runner as a service on my server. So with that, I think should be like a download link. Copy and paste the following command into your... How do I install? Here we go. Here we go. Let's copy these commands. Yeah. Paste. Enter. All right. So we have GitLab runner downloaded and installed. So then we just run this command. Register it to my IP address, the token key, created missing unique system ID, running in user mode. Crap. That's not what I wanted. I don't want it to run in user mode. Can I redo this? Control C, kill it. Let's try that again. I want to run it in system mode so that it automatically starts as a service. There we go. Running in system mode. Enter the URL, check. Enter a name for the runner, check. Enter an executor. This runner will run Docker. Check. Enter the default Docker image. This is just kind of a fallback. So I think Alpine is usually the go-to here because it's like bare minimal. Okay. The runner is registered successfully. Feel free to start it. But if it's running already, the config should be automatically reloaded. And we want to mess with this configure. I've got a fairly beefy computer right here. So let's go ahead. Sudo nano GitLab runner big.toml. We want concurrent to be like 8. I think that's okay. I think it'll automatically be reloaded. Running already, the config should be automatically reloaded. Okay. I think that's it. We can try this. We can see if we can get some code to build. Now, I guess one issue is I don't have a job building the pipeline image itself. So this might be where I will pull in a little bit of my friend Claude to get that set up for me. I think this is a good task for it. I think. Why is it doing that? Doing wrong. Now it's not even resizing. I don't know. My whole environment's weird. I'll just manually. There. All right. So now that we are hooked up to GitLab, let me pull in. Oh, I'm in a container right now. Let's yeah, let's hop out of the container. All right. Let's do this, Claude. I think Opus should be good enough. This isn't going to be anything crazy. Aspire is a repo that lives in GitLab. I would like to configure a GitLab job that will automatically build the dev container Docker file as an image for subsequent jobs to use. Building this image should only ever occur if changes to the file or the image doesn't exist. Building this image should only ever occur if changes to the file are made or the image doesn't exist. Then the following stages: lint, build, test, package, deploy, should all be able to utilize this image. Something like that. And I have done this with GitHub as well. So in Fun and Software GitHub repo, one of the things I do with Awin and Briarthorn is I have the action pipeline set up to build my dev container image and then use it to actually run and build my code. That way, that same exact image can be used locally as my dev environment. And now I'm doing the exact same thing that the pipelines are doing to test the code. Thought my cat was attacking my feet. He isn't. Now, Claude has the full picture. Let's write the config. What's really going to be nice is I'm using my local server, so I don't have to stress about consuming minutes. I have unlimited minutes. And it's going to be faster than any cloud runner ever. All right, let's see what this guy is writing. So creates an image stage, lint, build, test, package, deploy. Perfect. Creates a workflow to make sure this only runs at certain times, such as when I do a merge request. Never run it for for committing a tag or committing to a branch. Variables, submodule strategy is none. That might have to change because I am using VC package as a submodule. Dev container repository, CI registry image, dev container. I wonder if I need to manually set this up or if it's automatically working. This might not work out of the box. The VC package default binary. Wow, it even knew to set up binary caching for VC package. Interesting. Is it correct though? VC package feature flags, manifest, binary caching. Not something I typically have to set. Default binary cache location. This will be nice actually because I am running this on my local server, so that won't be an issue either. Dev container uses the image Docker 28, so I'm assuming this is a Docker in Docker image. Docker host certs. I'm assuming these are all environment variables that need to be defined for this to work. Gonna build the image. Gonna write data to a dev container.env file. Gonna grab the registry password. Use Docker login to the registry. Where does it check the image already exists? If Docker manifest inspect image already exists, and then we can exit. Otherwise, we build it. Hang on, Trill. I'm almost done. Promise. So then we have. See, that's the dev container job. And we have a shared dev container job. We use the dev container image. It needs the dev container job as a dependency, a .c++ job. Might not need all this, but maybe we do. Git modules. Okay, so if vcpackage.json changes or the Git modules change, then it's going to recreate this binary cache. And then this should just be some simple demo scripts that aren't really going to do anything. Okay. We'll see how much of this actually ends up running. How the image reuse works. The tag is a content hash of the Docker file, so changed and doesn't exist collapse into one check. And that's doing the tag check. How the freaking scrolling, man. All right, that's gonna actually drive me crazy. Is this a Ubuntu setting? Mouse, touchpad, primary button, mouse acceleration, recommended for most users, scroll direction. How image reuse works. Just setting up everything I was talking about. Stages. Downstream job picks it up through the template. We have the number of stages. 2 things to flag. Package is a placeholder shape. There are no install rules. Yep, I haven't done any of that. The image has clang tidy 23, but the repo has no .clang tidy. Yep, I haven't done any of that. Dev container job needs a runner that can do Docker in Docker privileged. Standard on GitLab.com shared runners. If you can't, that job swaps to Canico or Builda with the same hash check logic intact. So Canico is what I've used in the past. The dev container job needs a runner that can do Docker and Docker privilege. I set up a GitLab runner on my local machine here. What do I need to do for Docker in Docker support? Let me look at your runner setup. Good news. That answers most of it. Your runner process runs as root, only affects shell executor job. So it already has access to docker.sock and needs no group changes. The actual gap. The runner isn't registered yet. GitLab runner has only .runner system ID, no config.toml. So there's no executor configured at all, and Docker and Docker support is entirely a matter of what you choose at registration. What you need: 3 things. Docker executor, privileged equals true, volume cert / client. This is the one people miss. Docker TLS cert directory in the CI that makes Docker and Docker write TLS certs to wait. Grab a runner. I don't. I do have a register. Look. I think I see the privileged flag though. There is a privileged flag right there. Told you the runner wasn't registered. That was wrong. My ls on the GitLab runner was permission denied with standard error suppressed. So I was reading the output of GitLab runner. Empty. Your config is fine. The timestamp shows it's registered at 20:05. Also worth noting, the paste includes your runner authentication token. It's now in this conversation's history. Worth rotating in the runner. Oh no! Let me check. That would be awkward, but be fair. My runner is only local to my network. Blocker. Your GitLab is at a local IP and answers on port 80, but I found. Uh-oh. I'm starting to feel like this is too much work. I am not a IT or network expert. Good news. Let's see. It looks like it was yelling at me about something. This is a GitLab runner with a locally hosted GitLab. So that image next to my face here with my finger pointing at it is my desktop tower that I'm not using for anything. So I was like, oh, you know what? I will host a local instance of GitLab and also throw a local GitLab runner on there and have it work magically. Sounds like it's not going to be as magic as I was hoping. Okay, so the actual gap, the runner isn't registered, so I already did that. Did all that. Correction. I told you the runner wasn't registered. That was wrong. Also worth noting, the paste includes my authentication code. The Docker and Docker config changes. Your runner is registered correctly. It just needs 3 edits. Privilege needs set to true. Volumes needs the search/client added. And then the pull policy should be if not present. Privilege and search client volume are both mandatory for Docker and Docker. The latter is what lets the job container read the TLS certs that the Docker and Docker service generates, which is what Docker TLS cert directory in the CI is pointing to. Pull policy is the optimization I mentioned. Safe here because the dev container tag is a content hash and therefore immutable. Concurrent 8 is already good, and since the runner runs as root, it has socket access, no group changes. The blocker. My GitLab is at a local IP address and answers on port 80, but I found no container registry on any of the usual ports. This is what I was worried about. I think I have to set up a container registry separately. The GitLab YAML I wrote pushes the dev container to the CI registry and pulls it in every downstream job. So if the registry isn't enabled on your instance, Docker and Docker alone won't make the pipeline run. Worth confirming on your side, check whether deploy container registry appears in the project's left nav. If it's absent, the registry isn't enabled. That said, for a single runner on the same box as your workstation, the registry is arguably unnecessary overhead. The runner's Docker executor and the image build would both hit the same daemon, so in an image build and the dev container job is already present for every downstream job to use. No push, no pull, no login, and no privilege mode either. You know, that's fair. So because I have the images getting built on this machine, then it can just go to pull those images from this machine. No container registry responded. Which way do you want to take this? Local daemon, no registry. I'm okay with that. That'll also make it run quicker, because then I don't have to like re-download images or anything like that. And I think, because I'm almost out of time here, I want to get going. It's getting late for me. I think with this running, the next thing I want to do is maybe Friday. If I have time, I'll look it up before then. But explore getting a local LLM running. I don't know what the level of effort for that is. I don't know what options are out there. I'm aware of like GLM, and I think, is there a Quinn? A G. Yeah. I need to smarten myself up a little and see what options are available for like a small or medium model. Especially if I can like train it. That'd be kind of cool. That's where I really foresee benefits of LLMs is if you have a way to train the LLMs on how you want code to actually be written. That'd be kind of cool because then it literally would be like me writing the code because I told it how. One of the issues I have with LLMs today, even Claude and like Fable, is you have to like You have to keep repeating yourself. It doesn't learn. You can add more context and give it more information via that context, but it doesn't learn. And because it doesn't learn, it has no way of seeing issues crop up in your code. I would like my AI or LLM to be able to look at something and be like, oh, hey, I'm foreseeing a problem here, and we should really consider some design patterns to solve these problems. I'm not getting any of that with today's LLMs. I have to tell the LLM there's a problem coming. Okay. Runner change, one command. I tested the exact substitution against a copy. Pull policy is mandatory here, not an optimization. The default always, which would make the runner try to pull from Docker Hub and fail every job. This is the one line that, if skipped, breaks everything. So I put a note about it at the bottom. What changed? Only the dev container job, the services block, all four TLS variables, and the login push pull are gone. Docker man. Okay, so now that this is running locally on my system, it can just check my system for if an image exists or not. Two things I noticed. Your GitLab itself is a container on this host. So VS Code has already built this Docker file successfully, which is good evidence the first pipeline's image build will work. The flip side of keeping images off of a registry is Docker system prune will delete them, and on this box, it would take your GitLab instance's images with it. After a prune, the next pipeline just rebuilds the dev container. One optional tightening, the socket is now mounted into every job container, including build and test, which don't need it. That bothers you, register a second runner with a Docker build tag that has the socket. Leave this one without and add tags. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at this. So I think because this system has Docker running on it, it should have simplified some things. The submodule strategy is a little suspicious here, but that's not really what I'm worried about tonight. I just want to make sure some of this runs. All right. So if I commit these changes, add GitLab pipeline big commit. Uh-oh. Make sure you configure your user.name and user.email in Git. Right. Totally remember how to do that. What is it? Like git config global user.name. Funnin'? See if that works. I think it worked. Do I have to enter this in every time? Oh, gosh darn it. Guys. Oh, that's annoying. So, one of the things you have to do with Git is you could do like a credential store. And I didn't do that. And I was kind of hoping VS Code would do that for me. Maybe it still can. But I think the GitLab extension requires HTTPS. Have a good night, Logan. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, Amir. Oh, my suspicion is this isn't going to work. Try that again. Authenticate, manual. Okay, there we go. Copy. Enter. Oh, maybe that did work. Try this again. Come on, work. Please. Work, is it? What's this say? Unable to create. Permission denied. Oh. This might be an issue with jumping between dev container and local. Let me make sure. If it, or it could be that I just don't have the credentials set, which actually that might be it. Okay, so I need to do the credential store solution, unfortunately. Personal access token. Don't keep that. Generate token, legacy. Funin, BAT, generate token. We'll copy it. I got to remember how to do this. I don't remember how to do it. It's like get credential dot store, and I have to run it before I run the login command. Get credential store password. Config global credential helper get poll. Okay, I'll try that. Git config global credential dot helper store git poll. I'm just getting permission denied. Running into permission with git. Still wondering if it's because I messed with this as a root user in my dev container. Not a credential problem. Yep. That's exactly what the issue is. It's owned by root. Smooshing. One unrelated thing worth flagging. Bash history has GitLab runner registration token. Stop it recurring. Add a non-root user to the dev container. Replace with a real user. Something's happening. Something is happening. Ooh, we're stuck. We are stuck. The job is stuck because the project doesn't have any runners online assigned to it. Go to CI setting. Oh, did I create the runner, but did I not assign it? Created the runner. Assigned project runners. It's assigned. Funin Linux Docker. Oh, there's no tags. I need to specify tag? Would have thought I would just use it. I do tags. Funin Docker Linux Docker. Guess I could also create a shell runner if I need to. Try this. Specify in push. There we go. Oh, we didn't like that either. We have an error. This is probably a config error. Oh, my eyes. I don't remember how to do this. I gotta look this up. Tags is correct. The GitLab CI configuration is invalid. Jobs tags config should implement the script run or trigger keyword. So I have a job that isn't doing that. Script. I don't need any of this right now. I just want the dev container job. We can comment this out. Attempt to fix. How's it going, Olustrato? I am actively working on self-hosting a Git repo for code that I write on stream. I have a desktop PC right here next to me, rocking a 5950X Ryzen and a 3090 Ti graphics card, which I'm hoping to eventually stand up a local LLM on. I have no idea how to do it, so I've got to learn it. And that's kind of what I'm doing. And right now I'm also trying to get some automated code compilation running. I don't write code without automation. And there's some issues with the configuration that I'm trying to figure out. The GitLab configuration is invalid. Job tags should... Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on now. I'm annoyed. So I'm going to ask my friend Claude to fix the problem for me. We'll just copy the error. And I won't say anything else. Let's see what it does. I may look smart, but I am much, much smart. I'm something. My cat's missing. Oh, it found the issue. Found it. Lines 22, 25 use tags as a top level key, but tags isn't a global. What? I could have sworn there was a way you could like globally specify which runners all of your jobs use. Hmm. All right, something's happening. Something is happening. So this should be taking my dev container, building it into a Docker image that is going to set up the rest of my jobs to have access to like compilers and tool chains and like that. We didn't like something. Error during connect, ping, dial lookup. Ooh. It's like it's not getting out of the Docker container. All right. Well, what a pain in my butt. This isn't going how I wanted it to go, guys. And so, like Jan predicted, there's a good chance I am not going to continue with the self hosting effort that I would like to do. But I still need to address the out of storage issue I am getting with Gmail. So I still want to look into setting up at least a NAS, if not some type of like cloud service that I can like self-hosted cloud service. And then because I still have this massive GPU that I'm doing nothing with, I want to look into setting up a local LLM. So I will try and maybe tomorrow read up on what it might take. And if it's not unreasonable, then maybe Friday I will stream getting that set up and testing it. But if it's going to be like a multi-day effort, then maybe I'll only stream or try to find the interesting parts to stream, because a lot of this stuff is usually like headbanging and reading documentation, which isn't as entertaining, if you will. And then I mentioned this earlier, but having an interest in writing some C++ and not just focusing on my game, I was thinking of maybe doing or exploring like what it takes to render Minecraft. I know it's been done a lot, but I don't think, I could be wrong actually. Actually, I'm almost certain I'm wrong. But I was going to say I don't think it's been done in a more like modern, maybe cross-platform approach with like C++23, CMake, all the fun stuff that I make use of. So I might do that just because it's something I've never done and I've been interested. Do I play Helldivers? I don't think I've ever played Helldivers. Is that like I know it's multiplayer, but is that the one where you kind of go on missions and I think you fight against other people, right? I'm I haven't done shooters in a long time, if I'm honest. I played I was big into Halo back in the day. Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3. I did a little bit of like Reach and ODST. From a like PvP perspective, I was big into Halo 2 and Halo 3. And then what else did I do? I did Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2 on was it on Xbox or Xbox 360? I don't remember which one. And then Black Ops 2. So I played a crap ton of Black Ops 2. These days, I tend to go for a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more crafting. So I play with my friends all the time, not live streaming, but I'll play like 7 Days to Die, um, Pow World. I played a little bit of Pow World as it came out. These days, we're playing a crap ton of Slay the Spire 2. And then personally, Rocket League. I'm a huge fan of Rocket League. I guess technically I am way above average in Rocket League, but I don't know if I'm so above average that it's going to be very entertaining to watch. I'm still not like great. I'm not SSL. Rocket League, what else? World of Warcraft. I'm a big World of Warcraft fan. I'm anxiously awaiting the September 12th BlizzCon to find out if Classic Plus is going to happen. Really looking forward to that. I played the original Red Dead, never completed it, and I never played Red Dead 2. Um, Definitely games I think I would have been interested in back then. I just never got around to playing it. I played Skyrim. I played a ton. We're talking like probably close to 1,000 hours of Skyrim. Morrowind, Oblivion. Played all those games. Loved them. Some of my favorite. Divinity, the Larian Studios games. Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. And then, of course, the greatest, probably one of the best games ever made, in my opinion, Baldur's Gate 3. And then I have really only streamed the original Baldur's Gate game. We're about I'm I'm guessing here, but I think I'm about halfway through streaming Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gate game. Um we made it to Baldur's Gate, which took about 30 hours to get to. But looking forward to finally completing that because that's a game I've always tried to play and have never finished. Uh, Baldur's Gate 2 is definitely on the list. I don't know if I'll stream that. These games are kind of long and arduous, so I don't know how fun they are to watch. Um, what else do I do? What else do I do? More recently, the old Borderlands games. Really enjoyed playing the Borderlands games. Haven't really played the new ones all that much. I kind of got burned out after Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 was fantastic. And then just some fun, like, I don't know, games I play with friends. Any kind of puzzle games where you have to work together, or escape rooms, those kinds of things. Really enjoy playing those types of games. But yeah. Oh, and Factorio. There's a couple of viewers here who hound me about Factorio, so I've been trying to learn that game. But I'll be honest, Factorio feels like work because it's a lot of problem solving and optimizing and organizing and architecting to to get the factory going, and like when you're doing that all day every day, it's a little exhausting. But it's been good. It's been fun learning. It's gonna take me time though. All right, guys. Tomorrow, if I'm on tomorrow, I'll probably be continuing my Baldur's Gate game. And then, like I said, Friday, I'm probably going to look into local LLM setup. I don't know how much more effort I want to put into this self-hosting thing because of all of the nuances of maintenance that would eat up a lot of my very limited time. We'll see. But I think that's it. You guys have a good night. Thanks for